Hello and welcome to the podcast, The Pocket Stylist. I'm Lisa Talbot and I'm really excited today because I am being joined again by the lovely JoJo Hicks, carrying on from the podcast that we spoke about the previous week, where we covered makeup and we covered that feel-good factor, how to change some of your makeup and adapt, etc. But we touched on really briefly about skincare. And I was saying at the last part of the podcast that I have always cleansed, toned and moisturized, probably since the age of about 20. And I have to say, I got into that because I think, well, at the time, I actually did Virgin V through the home. So they sold skincare. So I got into that whole, I better use the products before I try and sell them. So I did that. So first of all, welcome, JoJo. Welcome back to the podcast. It is lovely to have you here.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
That's all
Loved
right.
it last time, so that was good.
Exactly. We had a great time last time. So we think we were going to chat a little bit about skincare, weren't we? Because skincare is a really interesting, and again, I think it's like the makeup that we spoke about before. The marketplace is huge. There are so many different products out there with so many different brands. Sometimes, again, isn't it, it's about finding what's right for us at a certain age, what skincare could benefit from, how does skin adapt. I mean, there are so many products, aren't there? But JoJo, from a makeup artist point of view, I am assuming skincare is so important because it helps how the makeup sits. Am I correct?
Yeah, you are. I mean, the skincare is the base of everything for makeup. You're saying that you've done your skincare work from your 20s. That's going to pay back, and I'm sure you're kind of reaping the rewards from it every day. But I think, some of us look at makeup and we think, what can it fix? What problems can it fix? And actually, I'll give you an example. So if I have a client that comes to me and she says, oh, I've got very, very, very dry lips and they're cracked. There's not much that lipstick can do for that, or a lip gloss, or, we can do our best, but really all of that work should be done before you get to your event and, hope for the best that it's kind of healed and mended itself. It's a little bit like that with skin. I have lots of people that come to me and they think the responsibility of makeup is to make my skin look dewy because it's dry, or that sort of thing, and it can do that to a certain degree, but your makeup is not your skincare. Your skincare is your base. If you have great skincare and your skin is as good as it can be, one, you'll be really confident, you'll be more confident. It will give you confidence. I suffer from acne. I suffer from redness around the center of my face and around the mouth. I always feel more confident when my skin is clearer without makeup. Two, your makeup will go on better. You won't have to use as much product and it will take less time, less stress. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand on skincare to start with.
Yeah, and it's interesting. But then I think comes, and I agree with you, because we all know, don't we? When we go on holiday, we don't wear much makeup. No. Because we're in a sunny country, or we're in the sea, or we're lying by the pool. We might have an SPF factor of sun cream on our face, but we wear less makeup. So, but I think it's really interesting because we hear, don't we, so many in magazines or on social media or whatever, and they say, are you a combination skin? Are you a dry skin? Are you an oily skin? And sometimes, again, starts that bit like, what body shape are you? It's a bit like, well, I don't know where to start. And I think, again, that's where sometimes and I've been known to do it in the past, we make the wrong product choice for our skin, which potentially it doesn't help. It could, maybe not make it as good as it could be.
Yeah. I think to start with, if you have the opportunity to go to a skincare expert and, have your skin looked at, that would be great. But not everybody has that privilege. I think for me, I very much learn about what my skin is when I'm doing skincare. So if somebody comes to me and says, oh, I have no skincare routine. Okay, that's absolutely fine. And then I'm going to ask them, what skin type are you? 9 times out of 10, that person will say they don't know, because they're not sat in front of a mirror looking at their skin, doing a skincare routine. You know, they're not kind of washing, cleansing their face and noticing how quickly it dries and all things like this, or noticing how shiny something looks. So that's, I think, why a lot of people don't know. And I think sometimes you just need to get stuck into it. You just need to get your basic products, your cleanse, your tone, your moisturizer, and just start somewhere. If you're starting with, you know, the product that's not the best for you, well, you'll soon know and you can change it. But sometimes we get so caught up on buying the right product, then overwhelm comes in and we end up not doing anything for the next three more years. It's ideal to get the right products for you, but sometimes it's just a basic cleanser, a basic toner, and a basic moisturizer, something that you can't go wrong on, something that maybe says all skin types, and it's somewhere to start to get your routine going and get yourself into that habit morning and night. I love my skincare routine. It's like my proper me time. So yeah, that's where I'd start on that.
And you know what? It's really interesting because when you're saying cleanser, I'm even I think about myself and I think, right, you know, go back a good few years ago, it was a cream cleanser, right? And I used to cleanse, and then I used to tone, and then I used to moisturize. And now I go to a wash, because actually I prefer having a cleansing wash than I do a cream. But I absolutely know, you know, like you just said about working your own skin type out. I know, and I've always been the same. If I've had a shower, the first thing, as soon as I come out, I feel like you've given me Botox. It's like my face goes, oh, and I rush. The first thing I go is either to put a serum on or is to put moisturizer on, because my face, it just, you know, it hurts without putting it on. But it's really interesting because I use a cleansing wash. So you'd think, wouldn't you, that, my God, why would she do that? But actually, I prefer the feel of a cleansing wash now than I do just a cream cleanser. And I think it's really it's so interesting, isn't it? So I've learnt my skin is absolutely dry. It gets so dehydrated so fast. Wherever I go, I have got a pot of moisturizer, because even if I get caught in the rain, I know, if you know, like the downpour when you're walking the dog, I know that my face comes back and it feels tight. So it's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's loads of products out there. I mean, it's overwhelmed with products. There's millions.
There are, aren't there?
What popped into my head then? Have you ever tried a hydrating mist? Because then you can just you can just have a hydrating mist instead of your pot of moisturizer.
That's really you see, like the tips that you've just thrown out, I would never have even known.
Yeah, go and grab a hydrating mist and then you can just spritz while you're out walking the dog.
Nice.
Looks much more chic.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, they're quickly running for a moisturizing pot. But I think I've learned over time that actually having, I would call it comfortable skin. So skin that feels comfortable. My makeup does. It sits so much better if if it's moisturized or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah, you're the same as me. I mean, I am guilty of slapping on a lot of moisturizer before I even start, and my makeup. And I often get questions of, oh, you're putting moisturizer on before makeup. So I always put moisturizer on directly before makeup. I leave it a couple of minutes just to soak in.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest thing that kind of pops up for me is if somebody's got oily skin, so look at the other side of the spectrum. If somebody's got oily skin, they will then avoid, like the plague, moisturizer. And even if somebody's got the most oily skin and they come and sit in my makeup chair, I will cleanse, I will moisturize their skin before we start, because it's a process that I go through. And a lot of people think, oh gosh, she's putting more moisturizer on me. Oh, it's going to make me oily. But you know, those 3 steps are important for any skin type. any skin type whatsoever. So try not to deviate from that. And if you're a real beginner with skincare, just remember cleanse, tone, moisturize, and just keep going with it. And, you know, it's not something that is going to change overnight. It's not something that always gives you an instant, you know, give back. Some products do. Some products, you know, you use them and you think, wow, like exfoliators and things. I always look at my skin and think, oh, it's really lovely and shiny and feels really fresh and no kind of dead skin anywhere. But, you know, give it time and just stick to those three things. Whatever your skin type is, stick to those three things. And, you know, yeah, give it time.
Yeah, I love what you said though about the moisturizer and the oily skin. And I think it is, isn't it? It's such a myth that if it's oily, don't put moisturizer on it. But actually it has a detrimental effect, doesn't it? If you put if you have oily skin, actually the skin needs moisture, because otherwise the skin produces more oil to compensate. So I have absolutely heard that. And you know, I'm absolutely a cleanse, tone, moisturize. I have to say now, as I've got a bit older, I now use a vitamin C serum, whereas before serums didn't even, excuse me, they didn't even really enter my world. But I've used a vitamin C serum for, oh my goodness, about 6 months now, and I have really noticed a difference of a brightness in my skin.
Yeah.
You know, so again, I do the cleanse, tone, moisturize, but every now and again I think, oh, actually, I'm going to try something. And like you said, if it doesn't work, you stop, you know. So I think it's kind of, and a lot of these skincare businesses, whichever one you have, they give you samples, which is a great opportunity to try, isn't it? So we can always try.
Lessons. Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, when talking about the serums that you were just talking about, I think if you start with your cleanse, tone, moisturizer, then when you're ready, look into serums. Look into serums and see where they fit. And if you're not sure or you can't ever remember, jot it down next to your, you know, in your bathroom, or just jot it down on a note of paper. I've done it before, and just pop it in there of where it goes in your routine, and then it will become second nature. You'll pick it up. You won't have to look at where it goes anymore, because as soon as you start talking about exfoliating toners, serums, hyaluronic acid, all these types of things, retinol, all these words that get thrown around and are used and have their uses, everyone goes, oh my God, when do I put my eye serum on? When do I put my under eye cream on? Does it go on before or after?
Yeah.
Do it gradually, and then it will just become second nature, just like driving your car, you know, you do it without even realizing.
And I love that, because I love a routine. I am such a routine. So interestingly, you're absolutely right. So I do, you know, my routine in the morning, I come out the shower, I go vitamin C serum, then I go moisturizer, then I put my eye cream on, because I've added that in as well now. And again, I was really lucky and I got a tester, and I thought, I'm going to try this, you know, let's see what happens. And again, I noticed a bit of a difference, because I know that I have more dark rims under my eyes now. And oh my goodness, you're absolutely right. But I think it's wonderful that we have the opportunity to try different things. But I totally agree with you. Skincare, like makeup, like clothes, can be quite overwhelming. So it's a bit, what's that saying? Bite the apple in small chunks, don't try and bite it all at once, kind of thing, isn't it?
Oh, I've never heard that one.
Well, I don't think I've got that right, but I'm sure there's a saying, bite the apple in small bits, don't try and bite it whole, or something. So again, you can just it was like baby steps, isn't it?
Exactly. And it goes back to what we talked about on the last podcast, where I said to you, what are your 3 desert island makeup products? When you start to learn makeup, pick 3 things and, you know, use those 3 things well. Get into a routine, learn what they do, learn how to use them well, how to put them on well, how to enjoy them. Do exactly the same with your skincare. Cleanse, tone, moisturize. That's 3 things. Start with the 3 things, then you can add. Start in a routine, then you can add.
And I smiled then when you were saying that, because
I wondered why
my
you
little
smiled.
brain,
I thought, oh,
yeah,
what have I said?
no, and my little brain went, oh, what 3 products would you take to a desert island? That's exactly what I was thinking. And I was thinking I would take my cleansing wash to take off my makeup. I would take my moisturizer 100%. And then I thought, what else would I take? Do you know what I mean? Because and that was my 2. And then I thought, actually, I would take like a moisturizing mask that I have once a week, because again, I love the feeling it leaves on my skin. So it's really interesting. And do you know one thing I learned, and I know it can be a real pain sometimes, but especially when I was younger, I take my makeup off every single night. I never, even as a drunk 19-year-old, went to bed with my makeup on. Never.
Yeah.
I was very much like, no, I've got to, get all my makeup off. And interestingly, my daughter went out for New Year's Eve and she stayed at her boyfriend's overnight because she is, older. And she came home and she said, well, I think I upset the house. And I was like, why? She said, because at 2:00 in the morning, I was taking off my makeup. And I thought, oh my God. And isn't it interesting how it follows suit? Do you know what I mean? So I think skincare is so interesting because like you said on the previous podcast, again, having that wonderful skin is that great base for the makeup. It's a bit like the canvas, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, I can't say that I'm exactly the same as you. I have gone to bed numerous times after a night out, fully dressed with my heels on, let alone makeup.
My goodness, really? That's so funny.
So yeah, I have to be real with you. I've done that many a times, and I wouldn't suggest it, but I have done that many times on a funnier note. But yes, it's. Do you know what? I don't know if you find this, but I find this. If I've gone 3 days with no makeup on and I've done my skincare and I've been good with that kind of stuff, and then I put my makeup on, it always goes on really nicely.
Yeah.
And then I've been doing tutorials for the Instagram page, and recently I've been doing a look, taking it off, doing a look, taking it off, and my skin's been a bit like angry at me. But it never goes on like really nicely the next time or as nice. So yeah, do you find that if you don't wear makeup?
Yeah, and it's interesting, but I tend not to leave. I wear makeup every day. Do you know?
Okay.
Because again, I love a foundation because it gives me that very even skin tone.
Yeah.
And I have to say, if I'm doing Instagram posts or TikTok posts, it could be a bit scary for someone if I don't have any makeup on. But again, I just prefer, there you go, the feel thing. I like my makeup on because it makes me feel more confident when I'm doing that. There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. And again, it feels a bit like me. So it's really isn't it interesting? We talk about, in this podcast, obviously, we talk about the skincare side. And then in the previous one, we talked about the makeup. But again, you said, your top tip for today is cleanse, tone, moisturize. And get into that routine, which is a wonderful, tip to leave ladies with. And I know obviously you do skincare as well, so ladies can come and talk to you about that specifically as well. But before we finish this podcast, because it's great and you and I could probably talk forever, just please remind people where they can find you with regards to obviously makeup, and if they've got any questions about skincare.
Yeah, sure. So if you're on Facebook, if you're a Facebook user, if you pop into the search bar, The Makeup Club by JoJo, you will find me there. That's a private group of many, many makeup lovers and skincare lovers, a really lovely community. And then there is the new Instagram page, brand new, and it started day before yesterday, I think now. And that is at the.makeupclub, and that's over on Instagram.
Oh, that's brilliant. So thank you again for coming, because we have had 2 wonderful podcasts with you as our expert. I hope everybody has enjoyed it. I hope you've had an opportunity to kind of sit and digest some of the information from today's podcast as well. Thank you to everybody for listening. JoJo, thank you so much for coming, and we will see you all again next week. Thanks, JoJo. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.